What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to review the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're going to take a close look to this phone, both to the internal components and the external components, to find out if it's worth it for all that money or if it is all marketing and you don't really need it. As always, let's begin by talking about the exterior of the phone, about the design. In this case, we can find a phone that's very well built, with simple but elegant lines, and of course, incredibly high-end materials, worthy of a flagship phone. It has titanium on the side frames, which is a first for Samsung, and glass in the front and back panels. Although, well, as you can see, the design is almost identical to the one on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, with only one small difference, which is that the S24 Ultra now has slightly flatter sides. It is not a big difference, and it's 100% about personal preference. Some people like it, some people don't, but it doesn't really add any functionality, and well, when you put a case on the phone, it stops being noticeable altogether, so I wouldn't really worry about this. The only thing that I didn't like about it was that the volume buttons are located in the top right corner of the phone, and therefore they are completely unreachable when you're using the phone with one hand. Although, well, everything said, I am left-handed, so my hand is in the opposite side of the volume buttons, and it's extra difficult to reach. If you're right-handed, it is going to be a little easier, but even then, it is incredibly complicated to reach the volume buttons. They're way too high. Then, when it comes to the internal components, it obviously has the best of the best, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, optimized for Samsung. Pay close attention, my friends. This is not the normal Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 like on the rest of the high-end phones. This is a special version of the processor customized to take the most out of the S24. So of course, it is as fast as it gets in the Android game. It's even neck to neck with the A17 Pro from Apple. Even though it is a little bit faster on the single core score, realistically, they are very, very close, which is incredibly impressive. When it comes to my personal experience with the phone, I think performance is impeccable. It loads up every app and game that I want in no time, and they all run like butter on a hot pan. I even decided to compare it against the iPhone 15 Pro in a real-life usage test. And even though, as you saw earlier, the iPhone has a little bit better Geekbench score, the S24 Ultra opened up a ton of apps faster than the iPhone. Only for a couple milliseconds, nothing to get excited about, but it did open the apps faster. The only thing it lacks is a decent game catalog, like the one we can find on the new iPhones, because sure, Genshin Impact and Call of Duty are great games, but Android still needs a lot of improvements to compete against a gaming console. If you think about it, it's kind of a shame. This has 100 times more power than a Nintendo Switch, but nobody is buying it for gaming because it doesn't even have 1% of the gaming catalog the Switch has. Samsung could do something about it. Google could do something about it. Please, guys, do something. This could be a Switch killer, but it's not because it doesn't have any games. What I did like about this phone, of course, are all of the new AI features it brings. As many of you know, we are in the middle of an AI revolution, and there's exponential changes happening in this industry every year. So, of course, as they should, Samsung decided to hop right into the AI bandwagon. With the new S24, we're going to be able to circle anything we want on the screen, and the phone will do an AI search to tell you exactly what it is you're looking at and where to buy it. We're going to be able to eliminate objects from any photo by simply touching those objects. We're going to be able to move those objects around the image as we please, and even better, we're going to be able to live translate a call to any language we want. Meaning, if you're calling a Chinese person, and of course you're not going to understand anything they say, the phone can translate what the Chinese person is saying to English and what you're saying to Chinese in real time, block the audio from the Chinese person, show you the audio in English, and vice versa, so you can have an actual conversation with a Chinese person in real time via phone call. It's absolutely insane. And sure, this is something we could already see in the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro last year, but Samsung is taking it to the next level. If you're a geek like me, you will agree this is an exciting time to be alive. But anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about the battery life, another very strong point on this phone. As you can see, I ran a very intensive drain test on it, and it lasted more than 9 hours of use, which is absolutely insane. It is more than enough for 99% of people. And I would even say that for those of you who only use the phone for basic things, you can easily get up to 2 days of use without touching a charger. But funny enough, it was actually 20 minutes worse than the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. So yeah, technically, all the Apple fans watching this video can say that the iPhone beats the Galaxy in battery life. And well, as it has been the case for a long time now, we can do wireless charging, we can do reverse wireless charging, which is actually turned off by default, and obviously we also have fast charging up to 45 watts. Although, well, to do that 45 watt fast charging, you need this. This is a special 45 watt wall brick that doesn't come included with the S24. You have to pay extra money for it because Samsung said that it is bad for the environment to include it in the box. They just wanted to save a little bit of money. But don't worry, because I found a way for you to get it for free. I left a link in the description to Amazon that's going to send you to a discounted S24 so you can, with the money that you're saving by buying it on Amazon, get the wall brick because it actually is very handy. It charges the phone in about an hour from 0 to 100. So yeah, remember, at the end of the video, if you're interested on the S24, check the link in the description. But hey, let's talk about the display, another very strong point on this phone, because in this case, it has everything, and everything is everything. 120 Hz LTPO panel that varies the refresh rate for maximum fluidity, a top-tier OLED display with 2600 nits of brightness, and extremely thin frames. The only bad thing I can say about the display on the S24 Ultra is that it's absolutely massive. It has a 6.8-inch display with absolutely no compromises in favor of ergonomics. For a 5'11" person like me, it is very complicated to use with one hand, and I can only assume that anyone shorter is going to have an even tougher time with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is not something bad necessarily. A lot of people want a big display, even if it means losing some versatility and ease of use. But it is something you should keep in mind. This is not a compact phone you can use while you're walking and doing something with your other hand. This is a small tablet, a two-handed device. And of course, we also have to talk about the cameras, probably the most important component on any phone in 2024. And well, in the case of the S24 Ultra, this is probably the most impressive component on the phone. Well, components, because there's multiple cameras. I'm recording 4K video at 30 FPS right now, and maybe it's not as good as a professional video camera, but it is damn near close. Like, this is incredible selfie video. For anybody trying to make TikToks or YouTube videos, this is as good as a $1,500 vlogging camera you could buy at a different store. Yes, it doesn't have interchangeable lenses like that other camera would, but the quality is pretty identical. So like, video quality on the S24 Ultra is very impressive. But anyways, more specifically, we get 4 cameras on the back of this phone. We get a main sensor with 200 megapixels, the one you were looking at right now. We get a 3x telephoto camera with 10 megapixels, a 5x telephoto camera with 50 megapixels, and we get an ultra-wide camera with 12 megapixels. As always, let's begin by talking about the main sensor, the main camera. We have a behemoth 200 megapixel sensor with insanely high-end optics. I don't want to dare to say these are the best photos you can take with any phone in 2024, but it is up there. Technically, it doesn't differ that much from what we could see on the S23 Ultra, but because of this new AI processing engines and algorithms Samsung uses to improve photos after you've taken them, we can see insanely good results, both when it comes to exposure, color, sharpness, dynamic range. Everything feels very, very, very high-end. The only thing that I feel the need to clarify is that this is not because the camera has 200 megapixels. All of the photos you've seen have been taken in the 12 megapixel photo mode, because the more megapixels, the smaller the pixels, the less light comes in, and the more light you need to take advantage out of those more megapixels. So in practice, you could only take advantage out of 200 megapixels with perfect lighting conditions. Then we have a 3x telephoto camera, which is very stupid in my opinion because it has considerably lower quality than the rest of the cameras on the S24 Ultra. So most people are not even going to use it. And because we also have a 5x telephoto camera that is not only way better than the 3x telephoto camera, it actually serves a better purpose most of the time you're using it. Because if you want to take a picture at something that's far away, most of the time you're going to take as much zoom as you can get. So a 5x is more convenient than a 3x. And if you want to take a picture at something that's up close, you're most of the time going to use the main camera. So that 3x telephoto is kind of in this middle ground where most of the time, and I can tell you from experience, you're not going to want to use it. And of course, we also get an ultra-wide camera, which is a very good ultra-wide camera, by the way. Without being as good as the main sensor, it is surprisingly close. We get a lot of detail, we get very, very good dynamic range, a lot of sharpness, and even though we still see a little bit of distortion on the side edges, it is way less than it used to be a couple of years ago. And then, of course, we get a bunch of video features on the camera of this phone. We can do 8K video recording, which even though, sure, it is not useful for the most part because the sensor is very small, so we don't really take advantage of that higher resolution. When you're making a video at broad daylight and you do have enough light, you can notice a sharper image and a better looking video. So that's great. We can also do, for the first time now, 4K video up to 120 FPS, meaning 4K slow-mo video, which is just incredibly pleasing to look at because not only it's smooth and slow, but it is high resolution. So yeah, the combination of those two things makes an insanely attractive and appealing video. And of course, I also have to talk about the selfie camera, which, without being as impressive as the other cameras because it's a little bit smaller, it is pretty good too. I mean, I'm recording 4K video with it. It's incredibly sharp. Maybe we don't get as much background blur because of the tiny sensor. We don't get as much dynamic range, but for like a normal TikTok, for a normal, even a YouTube vlog, this is more than enough. It's sharp. It's what people want. The only thing you have to take care of is the audio. You don't ideally want to make a video with when your neighbor's mowing the lawn because the audio is going to get ruined. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. Anyways, I don't want to get off topic. Video quality using the selfie camera is amazing. Probably the best selfie camera on any phone in 2024. So, conclusion. Is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra worth it? Well, I believe so, yes. It is a top-tier phone, the most expensive phone Samsung makes, and the best phone Samsung has ever made in their existence since they became a company. Some people, of course, would say the iPhone 15 Pro Max is better. A lot of other people are going to say this one's better. In my opinion, they are very close when it comes to hardware. So it is all about software. Do you like Android? Do you like iOS? That's what should make you make the decision. If you're an Android fan and you have a ton of money to spend on a new phone, this is incredible. The only flaw that it has, as I said, is that it's very big. If you don't like big phones, I think you're going to have to go for the S24 and sacrifice some features because this is absolutely massive. But if you're willing to compromise versatility, it is the best of the best ever made. And as I said earlier, you have an Amazon link in the description with an amazing price. Now that the video is about to end, I recommend you go take a look.